Hey everyone, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle. We're going to be doing some off and on live tornado coverage across pretty much most of the North Texas area. And then we're also going to discuss southeast Oklahoma, and then we'll kind of go from there. So maybe kind of on and off, just kind of depends on how things evolve in the atmosphere and to see how many of these storms do become tornadic. So let me load up a few things right here, give you guys more time to get in for the coverage. At this point, if you have any friends or family that is in the North Texas area, including Dallas, and also, of course, here in Southeast Oklahoma, let them know. They can watch the coverage here, and then also have them get my weather app, AT's Weather to Go, so they can keep tabs on that stuff. So let me load up something here real quick. I'm going to put the radar on here, give you a big picture. So this way you can at least see right there right now. I mean, it's a cold, cloudy day for our region. I mean, I'm still, I think, what am I at? Probably in the 40s still. Well, I've cooled down. It was 55. It's actually just cooled down to the rain-cooled 40s at this point from central Oklahoma down southward. So let's see here. Let's load this up, and then I'll be right with you. Let's see. Save and join. Okay, so as you can see, we've got some red colored polygons on the map. So these are down here in southeast Oklahoma and right now in northeastern Texas. So this is around the McAllister area. This is just a severe thunderstorm warning. Winds up to around 60 miles per hour, 1-inch size hail. Once you get down south of there, though, we do have one tornado warning in the state. We had one earlier that was, let's see, kind of in this area northwest of Antlers. It really wasn't doing much. It was just some broad mid-level rotation. There was no official confirmation. It was kind of a outflow dominated, so I let that one go. This one, however, is a little bit too far south of the radar, so you really can't tell what's in it underneath. We're not getting a low enough view of the circulation center. So, of course, it's already been over Hugo. So there's no other towns right now than what's between Raton, Fort Townsend, and Hugo. If we do look at what we can with the velocity data, what we have on the map is basically just a really broad couplet. So, for example, let's do this here. I'll load this drawing tool up. It's kind of hugging the Red River Valley. It's just on the north side, so it is on the Oklahoma side. But it's this large couplet here of the red and greens, green over here, red over here. But at the point we're measuring is around 17,000 feet. So we'll never be able to see the tornado at this point. We're just kind of getting the mid and upper part of the mesocyclone. So this is where we look for the broad circulation, just kind of, so that way the Weather Service kind of covers themselves, put up tornado warning out, and then wait to see if they can't get any visual confirmation as to if anybody has seen anything. So we're going to look at two views. We'll look here from the radar standpoint from Oklahoma City. We'll look at the one from around Fort Worth. But like we mentioned earlier, movement is going to be to the north and east. So if we put this on here, we'll have some hail size with it, though, up around 2 inches in diameter. So it's a big storm as far as hail is concerned. Got a big white spot here, which means a pretty decent hail core. Moving to the northeast at 46, Fort Townsend at 540, which is, of course, here in just a couple minutes. And then we've got Wright City at 6 o'clock. So those will be the two major communities within that. Otherwise, you've got Raymond, Gary State Park, Husky, and Swink, all here in the next few minutes or so. Probably a bit of a tornado for what it's worth is up around 67% in the algorithms. Sometimes the algorithms work pretty good, sometimes they don't. It just kind of all depends. But right now, that is a lone tornado warning in the state. So if you are in this region, make sure you are in your shelters over the next 15 to 20 minutes until this storm either winds down or until it moves out of your area. We'll watch other storms up here in the north. Let's see, let me go to the velocity data on this one. There is some broad, weak circulation in these, but nothing that's going to scream anything for tornadic yet. Not that close, but we'll watch it and see if that changes. So right now, we'll just keep focused on this one down here into southern and southeastern Oklahoma along the Red River. And that's again around Hugo, just south and east of there. All right, we have had a couple of other tornado warnings you can see across northeastern Texas. We've got one that's east of Paris, and we'll take a look at that one. And oddly enough, it doesn't really seem like much in this area. These storms looked pretty benign on the radar view earlier on, but they were actually producing brief tornadoes. This one is kind of in between the Bogota and Clarksville area. So if you live to the north of Bogota around the State Highway 37, you need to be in your shelters for this particular storm. It is actually weakening though, and the warning has kind of decreased in severity, meaning it went from a storm spotter confirmation to just potentially tornado because of radar circulation centers, but that's about it. So in other words, is probably not doing so at this point, but just stay in your shelters until either the warning is officially canceled or the storm dies out or whatever it may be, or moves past you. Let's see, taking a radar view from this area, we'll see if we can't see anything better on this southern Oklahoma storm. So here is a little better circulation pattern I can see from this radar standpoint. Let me try this one here. So that's not bad actually. This little couplet that we're looking at, this guy right here, this is the green that comes in toward the radar. This is red folded over going away. So that's the best couplet that I can get here on the radar presentation. This is southwest of Fort Townsend. Let me see if I can get the some of the roads down here. Chicken Hill Road. Let's see, what else we got? Anything else? East Road. Here's the intersection. North Road 4335. This is going to be about 3 miles southwest of Fort Townsend. So again, be in your shelters for this particular tornadic storm that is heading in your general direction. All right, I'll also be covering what happens around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we'll zip on down to this region here. There has been some tornado warnings down here into the hill country of Texas, but we've had also just some big storms coming in toward the Fort Worth on the west side. Now, currently, these are not tornadic. The rough storms, they got some pretty good hail with them. They've had little circulation centers within there. But from what I've seen so far, nothing that screams anything tornadic imminent at this point in time. However, that said, these storms are coming into a more favored environment for producing tornadoes once they do get into the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Let's see. Matter of fact, the Weather Service is going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning for Tarrant County, but put the high wording on there, which means considerable to destructive, damaging wind. Just to kind of give everybody a heads up that, yeah, it may not be an official tornado warning, but you're going to get some decent wind out of this. It's going to be problematic. Let me look at a couple other things here. So I have different radars loaded up. So we're going to track this stuff. So that way it moves through Dallas. We'll catch the tornado if it does. And meanwhile, we'll also be able to measure the wind speeds down there as well. So let's see what else we got here in Oklahoma. Let me look at this one again. And these guys up here, those look okay. And so I'm looking at the velocity data on this. In other words, the wind fields versus just the heavy rain that we often normally use as well. All right, let's go back here to Dallas. And so there's the warning issue for that one. And let's see what we got here. The radar data, the radar's having a tough time down there. I don't know what they've done with it on the modes, but it's having a lot of de-aliasing issues. There might just be a lot of straight line wind that's just messing up the radar beams that comes in. Not sure what they got. They got some issues they need to clean up down there. That part I can tell you. All right, so we'll wait and see what happens with that. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the big picture here. This is the Fort Worth sounding around 4 o'clock this afternoon to see whether or not they can actually get severe weather and what would that be in the form of. All right. So what happens is you got really good shear from the surface aloft. You have a south to almost southeast wind here at the surface that does go to the southwesterly and then westerly direction as you get up to several thousand feet off the ground in the atmosphere. If you look here at the temperature profile up to 70s over the 60s, your CAPE values are into the 2000 range. In other words, plenty of CAPE. And you don't see that red line nudging to the right. So in other words, there is no cap. So the SIN H, which stands for convective inhibition, is 0. In other words, there's no cap in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The other thing you want to note here is a significant hail parameter just off the map here. Let me zip this to the left so you can see it. Okay, right there. So this right here goes to the 2-inch line. So this is where you're in the greater than 2-inch hailstones, which again can happen here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area as these thunderstorms move on through. Wind damage is up to around 0.7, so you're going to have wind damage, you're going to have significant hail, and yes, you have the threat for tornadoes. So Dallas-Fort Worth has kind of all three lined up for some destructive thunderstorms, and that is why that warning that came out just a minute ago had the information on it that does say destructive. So if I do go back here to Dallas, let's see what it does. Even though it's not a tornado warning, it's a severe thunderstorm warning, thunderstorm damage threat destructive. They don't have the hail sizes up yet, but the potential is there. Like we just looked at in the data, wind gusts can be up around 80 miles per hour, and that's pretty much all of Tarrant County. So they just listed a bunch of the major metropolitan areas. Moving to the east at around 41 miles per hour. Okay, so let's go take a look here. We're going to kind of, let's go take a look at that one in Shreveport as well, that tornado warning storm. And we'll see what it looks like on radar. Because a lot of these out here don't look like much. They look like really small storms. Like this Atlanta one actually has a little bit of a hook on it. And normally in that case, yeah, actually it matches with the velocity couplet right here in this spot here. So we'll have to see if they issue a tornado warning on that one here soon. Let's go back down to this one though. Probability of a tornado is 72%. So algorithms are quite high, and I think that's just given the environment that they're in. But this has a nice little couplet right here. So this one does have, even though the reflectivity wasn't all that strong, it does have some significant velocity structure with it. This is south of Jefferson by just about 3 or 4 miles. This is going to be just west of Highway 59. This is in far eastern Texas before you get to the border there of Louisiana. So keep that in mind. It's just crossed over the county line. And where are we at down here? We are, zip on over. So this is going to be in Marion County, so the town of Jefferson. Again, looking at another viewpoint here of the data. And okay, so it's oddly enough that so far the structures shown on radar are not that impressive as far as storm structure and reflectivity like you kind of normally see, but yet the outcome has been for some small tornadoes. This one here southeast of Atlanta, that's the one I looked at a minute ago. We'll see what happens with this one. Radar height is up around 2,000 feet. So right now it's getting a good view of these storms out here in eastern Texas. So heads up, if you guys out here in Doddridge, Kibble, Folk over here in southwest Arkansas, and I may have mispronounced some of these town names. I'm not used to saying them, so forgive me if I do. But anyway, so we'll watch those as well. We'll keep an eye on what's happening over here in southeast Oklahoma. We'll see if this one looks any different from this vantage point. Let's take a look here. So the potential tornado is going to be located at this particular time now, south of Sawyer. So this was just an update a few minutes ago. Still heading up toward Fort Townsend. Let's see, a lot of hail with this. Hail size is at least golf ball size for this particular tornadic thunderstorm. And the circulation center is passing the south end of Sawyer. So, let me look at a different viewpoint. We'll go to this guy down here. All right, let's see. Weather Service has extended the warning for this storm into the county over. So let's do the update on that one. So let me go back. Let's go back over here. All right, so for southeast Oklahoma, that'll include, let's see, moving around 55 miles per hour to the northeast, hail size of 2 inches, and it doesn't have any major communities involved in this. So when you get down here in southeast Oklahoma, just so you know, there's a lot of trees. Very few communities, but a lot of trees and just a lot of land. But they've got a cluster of tornado warnings for this storm. Let me see if they've had any official confirmation from emergency management. Let's see here. Okay, so they're basically issuing the warning, continuing on these algorithms that predict tornado probability. So this one, for example, has 33%. So because remember, there's no radar coverage down here. If I show you the radar beam with height, We're up here around 15,000 feet elevation, so you will not be able to see the tornado. You can only see mid levels of the storm. So they just have to go on kind of AI generated algorithms that kind of looks into a basket of indices and combines what's happening in the atmosphere to see whether or not this thing can produce a tornado. And if it does, there's a potential. On the safe side, you issue the warning, and then you let it be. So right now in Fort Townsend, you guys are getting the heavy hail with this significant storm. I can show you the another visual of that, just so you can understand what I'm saying. So let me do that for you. Let's do this right here. Okay, so this is a storm we're looking at in a three-dimensional view. Now, I want you to understand why we can't see the tornado. We're looking, so this is the east view, south view. All right, so we're going to come at it from a southeast direction, as if you're south of this storm looking at it. And this is from the radar view from Shreveport in Louisiana. All right, so remember I told you that beam, it goes up with height. So your beam on this radar is up here, sampling the storm at this level. And so what that means is you can't see anything in here. So you've got nothing around 15,000 feet. So you've got no data at all. Now the tornado happens, you guessed it, below 15,000 feet. In reality, I really like 5,000 feet. So basically in this part of the X. Pretty much from 5,000 feet to me is like the max end. And anything below that, you're doing pretty good at sampling the actual column of the tornadic thunderstorm. But above this, the only thing you're getting is the hail. So we're blind down here in southeast Oklahoma. The good news is we've got a new radar installation going in this weekend that's going to cover this area quite a bit better. And so we'll be able to see the lower levels. And that will improve the warning false alarm rate. In other words, you'll have more accurate warnings. You'll have less false alarms for tornadic thunderstorm warnings. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on this one down here. So far, like I said, there hasn't been any confirmation from emergency management yet in that area. But we're going to pay attention and see. If we start to see the mid-level feature of this start to ramp up quite a bit more, and that'll give us more confirmation that down at the surface, more than likely, just from history, that you're probably having a tornado at the surface, which will give the Weather Service forecasters a little bit more confidence to continue the warnings going. But for right now, it's just going to be all automated. All right, so that's what's happening down there in southeast Oklahoma. For you guys out in McCurtain County, just be advised that the storm is going to be heading toward you here soon. Okay, so let's see. The one down here, the tornado warning, Jefferson, Marion. Let's see what happens with these two. So this one in Jefferson is on the southeast side of the city along Highway 134. So still staging shelters if you live in that area. And that'll eventually work its way in between Lodi and Smithland, what's left of it. Okay, so let's go back over to Dallas and let's see what's happening in the Metroplex, see if any of this has changed. Probability of a tornado on this guy is about 46%, and anywhere along the line. It's kind of a squall line appearance. Usually if you get a squall line appearance, you're talking more of a QLCS type tornado. There are a lot of little TVS trips, these little triangles. So that just means a tornado vortex signature. Doesn't always mean an actual tornado, but it does mean that you have enough rotation there. And with the data maybe not being as clean, you're going to get some triggers on that, which we are currently seeing as we speak. Let's see here. Boy, that next rat is just having a tough time. All right. So what we're going to do is we have some other radars we can pull up. The terminal Doppler weather radars from the FAA, which incidentally I actually work on, so I'm kind of biased to these. But we're going to look at those as well and see how data looks for that. That way we'll be able to track some of this stuff. So Denton covering this thunderstorm here. Got a lot of wind with that, and the blue area is up around 80 miles per hour. So that's some pretty strong winds without even the threat of a tornado. And let me look at the straight line wind component. So let's do this. I'm going to go so we can plot these winds on the map. We're going to take a look at these. Let's see what we have. theory. There we go. All right. So this storm up here between Crum and Sanger, just west of Denton, on the other radar view that I had some really strong winds with it. Let's see, in pockets of this. This is up around 84. There's 70. Up here in Sanger, there's 75. So 70 to 80 mile per hour winds coming into I-35. It's just on the north side of Denton. So heads up for that. And this extends import toward Valley View. There's some winds there up 88 now. Let's see, that's about 1,700 feet off the ground. So they're probably not going to be that strong. You have a frictional effect of when those winds do come down close to the surface. They're usually not as strong as you're detected aloft. But the other issue is just kind of an interesting view in the velocity data there for a minute. Let's see here. So we're going to watch this little part of the line and see what may happen from there. Let's see, and I'm going to switch radar views. We have two of these down in Dallas we can look at. Let's take a look at these storms in a different point of view. All right, let's take a look at these winds. All right, so this wind also continues most of the strong winds up north. We have some range folding here across the metro. But so far, so range folding is this purple area. It's kind of basically where the radar has trouble with the data and what to plot due to a bunch of physics. So it kind of comes and goes in the radar view. Sometimes it kind of blocks what you're looking at. There have been some semis blown off the road on I-20, and they've had some winds up around 70 so far, just west of Fort Worth. So they've had a history of a little bit of wind out there with these storms here coming into the Metroplex. All right, so while we're going to look at that, let's go back to southeast Oklahoma. See if anything's changed on this end here. All right, so all these storms so far are behaving in that regard of anything tornadic, although there's some pockets of wind here. Estimated on the radar up around, that's way up there though. Yeah, it's not going to make it to surface. So we'll see if anything changes in the structure from these guys as they work into this part of the state. I'm going to switch over here to Shreveport and see if we can't get a little bit better view. Okay, so these guys up here, Wilburton, really broad, weak circulation there. Same thing for Yanish, west of you. And then we've got the one way down here coming into Wright City, east of Fort Townsend. So the circulation center at this point in time is about to leave that old polygon into the new. Choctaw County Road 4420 is the intersection, and East Road 2050. So that's the last known position radar indicated of the mesocyclone, which would have that wall cloud with it. And then we'll see what happens with that. So again, if you guys are in Wright City, you'd want to be in your shelters. Let's see if we can't get an update on the speed on that one, or the time of arrival, etc. No, I don't want that one. Don't want that one. It's already happened. All right, and I think this didn't have any communities in there. No, it didn't. But we were no Wright Cities down here. Yeah. I wonder why I didn't put up Bright City in that list. But it will pass to the north of Valiant, though. Okay. There's some straight line winds here coming through Denton. This little blue patch here, Argyle, that's pretty potent. That's up around 80, 90 miles per hour. Yeah, 90 mile per hour winds here in Argyle. That's going to do a lot of damage at the surface. It's like having a small tornado go through. And this is over the Country Club Road, Highway 377, East Hickory Road. Let's see, what else we got in here? Crawford Road, Village Way, this little neighborhood down here, Collins Street. So this is all, again, south of Denton in the town of Argyle on 377. So it's damaging winds up around 90 miles per hour. So again, if you have any friends or family in North Texas, just tell them to tune in. Just share the video and tag them in the comments, kind of a deal, or just text them, and that way they'll know. I'm going to stay with this for a little while longer and to see if anything tragic comes, because of the atmosphere over Dallas-Fort Worth is pretty potent right now, so it wouldn't take much for something to ramp up, and that's going through a really big area. And I'm not sure how those guys down there in Dallas treat the storms anymore as far as the TV coverage goes. Sometimes they're on live, and sometimes they're not. And they're not as aggressive as Oklahoma, so they can kind of wait till last minute versus kind of giving you an early heads up. And each one's kind of different. So they may all be on right now, or then let me one or two. I'm not sure, because I'm not watching any of their feeds. Yeah, so the Weather Service just now put out an alert. It says the TWR that we were looking at shows over 95 knots at 1,400 feet in Denton County, upgrading to 80 miles per hour for southeast Denton. Well, as you know, that's old news, because we just talked about that. But that's kind of how these things evolve when you're talking about straight line winds. So they're going to look at the TDWRs. TDWR is the acronym, TWR. It's just, I don't know, it's another way of saying TDWR. You just say TDWR. But anyway, they're going to look at the TDWRs, and they're going to issue warnings based off of that. And I really wish their radar wasn't in such a really bad mode that they put this in. They've got to get that out of there. This is actually unusable data. This is terrible. What did they do? Yeah, they're not de-aliasing the data. In other words, they're not unfolding it to where you can actually pinpoint the winds greater than 70 miles per hour. They're having some issues, I can tell. All right, so what that means is it's going to be pretty blind, which means a lot of the TV stations aren't going to know what's going on out here unless they're going to use the TDWR data like I'm using. And sounds like the National Weather Service is using. Let's see, a 77 mile per hour gust at Meacham Airport. Okay, so let's see, these winds move into Corinth and come up in Lake Dallas. You're going to have some winds with this as this comes on in. Like I said, through Denton, it's already up around 70 plus miles per hour. We saw some 80s. We saw there a little pocket of 90s there briefly around Argyle. So it's had a history of producing some pretty decent wind within this line. All right, let's see. Let's go to Dallas here. So we still got these little pockets of wind. This blue area, man, that's still around 91 miles per hour, and that's only at 800 feet off the ground. Oof. Which means there's not a whole lot left of friction to slow that wind down. So damaging wind over here in Hilltop Road, Tuttle Lane. This is all between Argyle and Lake Dallas. These are all the little communities. Copper Canyon, this is about to hit you. If you look at the wind speeds in here, 90 to 93, 95 miles per hour. This is widespread damage. This is knocking down all kinds of power lines. This is probably lifting up a few shingles off the roofs. Small trees are getting ripped to shreds. So that's what's happening here. Ooh, the winds just went up to close to 100 miles per hour, and we are at 800 feet elevation. You can subtract maybe about 10 miles per hour off of that for the rest of that travel for the wind to reach the surface as a general rule of thumb. But again, that's still close to 90 mile per hour winds in this region for Copper Canyon. Main road here is Copper Canyon Road, Orchard Hill. So some big damaging wind coming on the north side, just north of Dallas, just southeast of Denton, all measured by the terminal Doppler weather radar. The winds are not that strong in Fort Worth like they are up north. Like these winds here, I think they're still into the 60s. Yeah, there's some 70s. Little pocket right there sneaking in. Here's 70, so 60 to 70 coming into Colleyville from the west, passing through Keller. So the destructive tag from the Weather Service for the severe thunderstorm warning may verify in this little spot of Tarrant County, the northeastern side, but it's definitely going to verify for this warning here, just north of the area. Man, you don't often see 100 mile per hour winds on the radar outside of a tornado. All right, straight line winds, you don't often see that. These little areas that I'm plotting on the map, though, again, that's close to 100 miles per hour. Highland Village is coming up on this. So is Lake Dallas. This little roadway here is Village Parkway, so it's coming across Village Parkway. There's your damaging winds, and like we said, all this moving to the east. Let me do, if this will work, let me see what happens here. I'm going to press play, and we're going to see if I can get a nice little beeline track on here. It should be coming to the east with a slight drift to the southeast, and it is. Okay. All right. Just want to make sure. So this is coming up on, like we said, Highland Village. And you got the north side of Louisville. So Louisville will get it, and then the Colony will get it if it's still holding together. That's where you're going to get the bulk of the winds. Now, there are a lot of car dealerships here as you come in on 35 around the Louisville area. So, but anyway, so there's going to be some pretty destructive winds here just north of Dallas. All right, well, we take a second from that one. Let me go back to check on what's happening here in Oklahoma. This tornadic storm, probability of a tornado is at 71%. This has a little hail core notch in what it looks to be the hook echo part. So this looks like to me, you probably have a tornado at this point, because I see the nice stronger couplet at this level of the atmosphere, which is around 8,000 feet. That's probably the best I've seen it. And with this little reflectivity structure here aloft, it's probably what's happening there. And if I do look, there's the CC. If I go back with time, it's hard to say. Yeah, let me see here.
TVS cell detected.
Yeah, I wish I just had a little more data at the lower level. But regardless, you're still going to be in your shelters if you live around Wright City and areas to the north and McCurtain County between there and Ringgold for this tornadic thunderstorm. None of these other storms are doing anything in that area, so that's good. All right, I can see we've got some activity there in Shreveport area. So let me go over here. So that one little storm we looked at earlier looks like it finally got a tornado warning issued on it. Remember a while back, I thought it looked pretty. This guy right here, I thought looked pretty suspicious. Let's see what happened here. I'm gonna look at the CC. Yeah, it ends up having a little CC with it, which is a debris signature. So this guy did end up producing a tornado when after it got pushed off this 77 east of Atlanta. So tornado warning's been issued for that one. Current circulation area is somewhere out here over County Road 151 and Smith Park Road. This is all west of I'm going to say Fouke, Fouke. That may not be right, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. Anyway, so if you guys are west of Fouke by about 3-4 miles, you want to make sure you're in your shelters from that point to almost quite the state line as that storm rolls through your area. This is in Miller County, southeast of Texarkana. So future track of this, we'll take it across Highway 71. And that's near the intersection of Davis Road. Let's see here. What else we got? And then we have the town of Genoa. They're in line in Highway 82 east of Texarkana. So that's next on this tornadic thunderstorm. So it does have it looks like it's wrapped up back off this track just to the west where the center of that triangle is. So it's become occluded. In other words, you probably wouldn't be able to see it. It's probably rain wrap. So because that got off that track, it shifted to the west a little bit. Blackman Ferry Road and Smith Park Road. Those are the two north, south, east roads on the east side of it. Otherwise, crossing over the Sulphur River. And in this particular case, it's not affecting anyone. It's literally over marshland of trees and creeks and rivers. So that's some good news. This particular tornado will not affect anybody for a little while. If it holds together, there may be a couple of farmhouses here and a few miles up the road. And there's some, looks like here, and very sparse, so no major metropolitan areas until it gets closer to the highway. You pick up a few more little houses, and then you got Genoa after that. So we'll see what happens with this storm. Make sure you stay in your shelters regardless. Let's see. This is a probability of a tornado at 59%, but looking on radar, I think it's already producing one. And you have this one over here, Shreveport, like we mentioned, north and east of you guys. Let's see. There's a couple of circulation centers within that. Nothing overly strong, but they do have warnings out for them. So they may have produced one earlier on and they kind of faded, but it may regenerate. So you know the drill. If you're on the warning out here northeast of Shreveport, southeast of Benton, in Bossier County, you're going to want to be in your shelters. So there you go. All right, we'll come back out. If anything gets stronger, we'll take a look. Same thing for Oklahoma. Let's go back over here to Dallas. Let's see what's shaking there with those damaging winds. Okay. So we have two pockets of these dark blue areas. So one south of Collinsville, around it's like a little wind damage to sheet metal roofs, carports, and Tioga from earlier storms. Let's see. These are winds up around 80 plus in dark blue. Let's see. Aubrey, coming on the south side of you guys, you're also with wind up around close to 80. And then Oak Point, these little blue areas, once again, 80 to 90 mile per hour winds. This dark blue shading here. So this is going to be the north side of Louisville. Looks like a little spot there, as a matter of fact, coming right into the radar. Let's see. I need to take that off so I can see. Here we go. So the radar center is right here, so it's really close. So these winds are being measured at 80 miles per hour. And they're just a little off the ground. I mean, we're talking just tens of feet. Widespread power outages on the east side of 377 at Krugerville. Well, that makes sense. And we talked about those 90 mile per hour winds coming their way.
TVS cell detected.
So they're talking about how the terminal Doppler radar is still showing wind speeds out here in the 90 mile per hour range. So this is over quite a large area around Lake Dallas in Louisville. Let's see here. I'm going to switch and look at two different radar views. So this one at DFW, it's got the closest view. And these are measuring around 80 to 85 miles per hour. And you wonder, well, how far away is that from the radar? Oh, it's really right down the road. That's like a mile and a half. So the range of the radar, in other words, the height of the beam is at 88 feet off the ground. So in other words, these winds are what you're going to experience at the surface. So this is a good verification of what we're seeing out here across Lake Dallas and Corinth, where you've got winds up here around 80 to 90. We can subtract about 10 off of that at most for friction, because the up here I think we're in a few hundred feet. Yeah, we're at 400 feet. So we're not going to lose much at this level between this way to the ground. It's not very far to go, believe it or not, in the world of weather. So we will be getting probably some 80 mile per hour winds over here, which again will continue with the damaging wind event going on here on North Dallas, just outside of the county. Okay, let's take a look here. So Oak Point, Little M, New Hope, you guys are all getting some strong winds. Colony, you're about to get some very strong winds moving through your area. I'm going to switch radars, and we're going to go back into Tarrant County as well. These winds out here on Grapevine, they're kind of behaving. They're 50 to 60 mile per hour winds in this little corner. The biggest, strongest winds, like I said, are up here in the north, around Louisville, points northward. These little pockets up here, these dark blues, around 80 to 90. That's a big wind. So you don't even need a tornado to have damaging wind, just to let you know. Still moving around 40 miles per hour to the east. Damaging wind threat is considerable. And there's a ton of communities in here. Plano, Carrollton, Frisco, Denton, Louisville, Flower Mound, Coppell, The Colony, South Lake, Corinth, Highland Village, Trophy Club, Lake Dallas, Lake Louisville, Little M, Prosper, Salina, Roanoke, and Crum. Now, some of those towns I may have mispronounced. I used to live in Dallas for frickin' ever, but I've been there so long that I may have forgotten how to say them when I was a kid. But you know the deal. All right, the good news is, though, no tornadic activity down here. So we got that going for you. But you've got straight line wind event happening currently. I think I'm going to leave it back on this other radar here. And then we're going to go back over to southeast Oklahoma. And we'll see how that goes.
TVS cell detected.
Right. So hopefully, hopefully the radar will still stay up. It's a direct hit on the radar system out here with these strong winds moving through. So, yeah, if we just go up a few tilts up off the ground, all this blue area is up around 96 miles per hour. Oh my goodness, that is insane. Let me zoom into this. I gotta show you this. Okay. So again, we're up around 90 miles per hour, and at this elevation angle, we're at 600 feet. So again, we're close to 100 miles per hour at about 600, 700 feet. And these little purple areas. All right, and then if you go down the surface, it's down to 90. And then the very, very bottom, it's still down to 90 with hit and miss areas of 80 and some 70s. So we lose about 10 miles per hour as a rule of thumb from 700 feet, looks like, down to about 100 feet, our surface. So there you go. But that's a lot of damaging wind for you guys over here in the colony area. Let's see. So again, the winds have blown through the radar. Now you're asking, well, how come the radar is not damaged? Why is it still standing? Well, because the radome on it is to withstand basically up to like 200 mile per hour winds. So it's supposed to handle tornadoes and hurricanes, kind of a deal is how they're designed. So it should have no problem. The only issue is the winds would knock power out in this area, and so that means there's no power to the site. And so when that happens, there's a backup generator that kicks on and just keeps the radar pumping out data so that we can use it like this to detect what's going on. So here's 70 to 80 mile per hour winds in this area. So it looks like the radar, my guess is they lost power all in this area around the colony just because of these winds, this little section. So my guess is the radar right now is running on the generator power. And it can do that for a long time. We're talking, I forget the amount of time, we're talking over 24 hours. All right, so this batch of wind, Hebron, I'm going to say, I don't think it's Hebron. I think it's Hebron, but I can't recall. Let's see, this is going to be over North Josie Lane, Plano Parkway, south of 121, State Highway 121, kind of in that little area. This is all north of Hebron Parkway. Like I said, it's over West Parker Road. So big wind up around 80 plus miles per hour. And then back on Little M, you're also still getting these winds up around 80 in your area just on the west side on El Dorado Parkway. So some straight line winds here north of the Metroplex of Dallas. Tell you what, Dallas or Fort Worth, they did okay for the most part as far as some of these really destructive winds. There are a lot of reports. I'm going to look at these. So this guy here, 70 mile per hour wind gust at the office. Let's see, this one's 77, 70. Lawn furniture, trash cans displaced. Same thing. In other words, minor wind damage in these events here. Let's see, 68 mile per hour wind. So 60 to 70 with a couple of spots higher than 70. Here's one of 80, North Tarrant Parkway and Riverside Drive. So there was some damaging wind reports in those locales. Let's see, a 3-inch tree limb broken. All right, near Richland Hills. So there you go, a little path of some winds, damaging winds, at least on the west side of Fort Worth and the northeast side a little bit. Now up here, let's see, there's a wind gust of 69. Let's see, there was another one in here. What's that for? Trees uprooted or snapped. That's a big one. Lawn furniture, trash cans. So trees uprooted or snapped. What about this one up here? Lawn furniture, trash cans. These are ping reports from the public. So in other words, we don't always get reports. When we do, a lot of people will opt to put them in. It's called ping, P-I-N-G, and then you can put in your own public report for that, so everybody can know what's happening. So as we mentioned, Little Elm, the Colony, still getting all the big winds. This is up around 80 to 85 on radar right now, going through. And these guys up here, Lakewood Village, are also around the 80. This is 94, but again, remember that's a few hundred feet off the ground, so we'll subtract 10. So you're like 85 miles per hour coming in to Little Elm, Hackberry, and Lakewood Village. Weather Service just now put out a statement, says a pocket of wind near Little Elm and heading toward Frisco. Maybe the worst right now, about 80 miles per hour. Certainly is possible. So there you go. So yeah, I will be heading. Oops, you'll be heading up toward Frisco as well. It's got a ways to go. Remember, it's still back in here. Prosper, you guys will get a little bit of this north area of the wind, but it's not nearly as strong. It's up around 60. All right, this is definitely the strongest. And it looks like a lot of that wind is kind of rushed out from the actual thunderstorm complex itself. Usually when that happens, the storms are going to weaken and kind of wind down. So we'll see what happens. But regardless, McKinney and Dallas County, you guys still have this line of storms to go. Right now, just destructive winds seems to be the gill here, and you can see it in the warning tag where it says 80 mile per hour winds, destructive. So 80 mile per hour winds, destructive. Down here in Dallas, they're probably the same thing, 80 and destructive. I think it's 8, yeah, because they threw you both in the same warning. That's what happened. Rockwall, you're not in it yet, but if they keep doing what they're doing, that'll probably happen. Let me see how Dallas looks, this other radar system. Let's see what it's doing here. Okay, so Flower Mound, Capel, let's see. You guys are at 70. There's some pockets here up around 80. And back here in Flower Mound, also 70 plus miles per hour. So the other radar is also measuring some decent winds. This will be coming into Carrollton as well. So northwest Dallas County is about to get something. You've got to watch this little spot right here. We might be transitioning to a little bit of a QLCS tornado type deal. So in other words, potential tornado developing in this spot right here. This is over Story Road and what is that, West Walnut Lane Hill. So it's this little spot right here where the red and green come together. On a QLCS type tornadoes, you're not going to get a whole lot of warning, and they won't show up all that strong. So we look for on the edge of the line these little inflow notches where you get little enhanced winds that show up briefly. So that looks like it may be one there. Yeah, it's got a little enhanced reflectivity structure with it. Interesting. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it does. Enhanced wind here and here. So it's probably a small E of 0 tornado going through Dallas County right now. And if so, let's use Stonehaven Court, Skyway Circle. The signature isn't that strong, but sometimes they're not always that strong. And they don't last very long. It would be an E of 0 should that be the case. But there is definitely a little bit of a wind convergence there in that zone. It's not much. Let's see. Let's see what the Fort Worth radar shows. Boy, they're just going to miss it all together.
TVS cell detected.
A lot of power lines down in Denton. All right, so on this guy here, the little algorithm we picked up on it. See this little circulation deal? It's for a mesocyclone. Means rotation in the atmosphere on that one scan that we're looking at. But it has since diminished. It was just there for that moment. The new update has now pressed east and it's gone. They don't always last that long, maybe a minute, sometimes two. We've got another one though that's trying to develop in this area here, so we'll see if that one does anything. So if you get a little circulation of wind in that area, you'll know why. This is on in Irving. This little notch, and I'm not excited about it just yet, but East Hunter Farrell Road, just east of MacArthur Boulevard in Irving, coming up on let's see, the Loop 12 in that area here for between Grand Prairie. All right, so we'll see if anything comes of that. Let's see how the winds are doing now. I'm going to go back to my guy here. Okay. There's that Irving Grand Prairie little notch right here. There's incidentally a track for that. It just has this spot of the storm that's been pegged on there over the next 10 minutes moving through the region. Alright, what else? I think the winds have calmed down just a hair. Remember, we don't see as many of those dark blue areas that you were used to seeing. So that's really calmed down on the output from deeper back into the storm. Out of the head of the line, you still have some pretty decent winds. Let's go here. These are around 70 here in the pink, so it's close to 70. There's still a few pockets, maybe up to 80. These little hot spots here, 70 to 80. Once you get south of Carrollton on 161 and 77 and down near Irving. So some of these highways, again, there's 635. Here's 35, 77. Spur 348, State Highway 114. West Royal Lane, Riverside, Las Colinas Boulevard. You guys are all seeing some really nasty winds. These are all moving to the east toward University Park, toward Richardson. This guy down here, boy, he's gotten even stronger. Tell you what, that Willow, Bolden Avenue, South. That's Nursery Road, right on Loop 12. Because radar data, again, might be just about a couple minutes past the update. Yeah, the Weather Service is going to issue a tornado warning because of this that we're looking at. Just so you know. So that'll be the first tornado warning coming out for Dallas County because of this QLCS type potential of a tornado. I really think that other one that we had was definitely one. I think they missed it, but it only lasted for a couple of minutes. Let's see, what's the time on this one? Yes, this is recent. This is right along 412, just north of I-30. Power flashes northwest of Richardson. Let's see. So you guys up around live off of I-20 in the loop. That is where this little inflow notch is for a particular circulation. That might be a QLCS tornado development. So it'll be over the Cockrell Hill area. So you guys need to be in your shelters. Now again, I've seen it look better than what it currently looks. In other words, I saw it look more likely to produce a tornado a little while ago than I do now. But it doesn't matter. There'll be a warning out here anyway. because it's in Dallas County. Here's the track that they have. This is a little inflow notch, like we mentioned. I-30 and Loop 12 is the location of this. So their weather service is going to put it more of a southeastward movement on this. I don't know if I'd go with that, but regardless, you are in a tornado warning now from downtown Dallas through Cockrell Hill to the north side of Duncanville, then eventually at Hutchins, and then heading into southeast Dallas. Now, let me see here. All right, let's do this. That took too long. It's kind of moving on an east to slight southeastward drift. So again, if you live in central southern Dallas County, be in your shelters for this particular possible tornado here for the I-20 and Loop 12 area. Let's see the data on that. Just updated. All right, so it just came out here with the new update, and so we're now just a bit south. So we're on US 80, intersection of South Cockrell Hill Road is where this potential tornado is located. Highway 80 and South Cockrell Hill Road. If you live in that area, make sure you're in your shelters. Let's go over here and see if I can't pick that out on this one. So it's in this little spot right here. West Jefferson Boulevard, North Cockrell Hill Road. All right, so that is that particular potential tornado. Now, if it holds on this due southeast path and it doesn't deviate and go kind of more easterly, these are the times of arrival in the communities. Of course, it's already into Cockrell Hill. Then you got Hutchins, 6:39. You got Seagoville at 6:49. Combine at 6:52. Rosser, 7:01. So obviously you have to be in your shelters between now and the next half hour as the storm approaches. So Dallas Emergency County Management has sounded the alarms, tornado sirens for all these areas here in Dallas County for this tornado warned storm.
Clear.
Now,
There are no storms
we'll watch
presently
another little area. Maybe
recorded
this might be of
in
enhancement that'll be coming up soon next. We'll wait and see what happens with that one. So movement has it southeast at 56 miles per hour. So it's a fast-moving storm, fast-moving line. See these little pockets of the pink in here from Duncanville to the north, University Park. All of these are winds up around 70 to 80 miles per hour. Just kind of hit and miss all around. So you're going to get pockets of straight line winds going through the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Again, so there's going to be some power outages within that. All right, we'll look at some of my other radar data. 31. Okay. Radar day is getting really messy. So the area now of circulation is heading up toward Illinois Avenue. Let's see, cross section South Polk Street. This is just west of 35 by about a mile between there and Hampton Road. So Southampton Road and West Illinois Avenue, just to east of that intersection. So that's coming up on the split from 35 and was it Martin DeLa Freeway, or in other words, I think it's 67. Let's see. So that's where that leftover circulation would be. Stay in your shelters for that. I haven't seen any confirmed sightings just from the Weather Service passage. But I don't have access to helicopter shots or storm chaser footage down there if there is to confirm. We're just looking based off of what the radar looks like. There's your little spot right there. That little orange and green side-by-side couplet. Again, coming up on 35 and Illinois Avenue. So there's your particular tornado circulation of this storm passing south of downtown Dallas. All right, let's see here. So as always on a tornado warning, you're going to be in the lowest floor, away from all outside walls and windows. Still looking at this little guy down here on the south end of Duncanville. Oh, just jumped. New data came in. Let's take a look now. There's still a little something in this zone. It's not very strong. It's down here around just south of 20. It's on, let's see, what's the cross street here? Hampton Road, and what's the main road? East Wintergreen. A little weak circulation center here. This is on the north end here of DeSoto, between there and Duncanville. So this little guy right here might end up being a little something. You might see some circulation in the sky that's been there.
There are storm cells presently in your area of interest. TVS cell detected.
All right. The good news is that given the potent environment, that this is not that strong of a signal here. All right, let me real quick check on these other ones. That one in Oklahoma never really kind of got its act together. Looks like. Let's take a look at another view. So on this one, still has this mid-level circulation though, around 15,000 feet. Weather Service replaced it with a severe thunderstorm warning instead of a tornado warning. Yeah, there was so one spot right there, right here. It may have produced a tornado right here. This location. And that was it. If it was brief, and it was over, you guessed it, trees. All right, so that was that one tornadic storm that was warned on out here in McCurtain County, southeast Oklahoma. Now since then, that circulation's fallen apart as it heads up toward Smithville and Hatfield and Arkansas. So we'll continue to kind of come back and forth, keep an eye on it, but right now it's pretty benign. Let's see, anything else? I think that's it for Oklahoma. Let's go over here to, I think Shreveport also was calmed down. Yeah, those storms weakened as well. All right, so the only game in town is back into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we'll head back that direction. Okay, so there's a little TVS trip on the radar. Again, stands for Tornado Vortex Signature. This is from the 88D. So it actually detected the circulation at one point. But anything else? No. These what is the deal, man? Let's see. Let's go back over here. So circulation center at this particular point is over Loop 12 and South Lancaster Road, or also at Highway 342. So 342 and 12 is where that last known circulation was. Let me get an update on this warning. So tornado warning remains in effect for southeastern Dallas County. Severe squall line capable of producing both tornadoes and extreme excessive straight line wind damage was located near Hutchins, moving southeast at 55 miles per hour. Tornado wind damage possible. Let's see. Lancaster and Hutchins around 640, Wilmer around 645, Ferris around 650, Combine around 655. Also have Sand Branch just for getting thunderstorm activity. Let's see here. And they reemphasize lowest level of any structure that you're in, away from all outside walls and windows. I can tell you that the circulation on radar is very, very diffuse. It's very difficult to see if there's even anything left. These QLCS ones typically don't last long anyway, and they're sometimes very difficult to pick out. And right now I don't even see it on radar anymore. So if there's something there on the ground, I'd be surprised. But you never disregard a tornado warned storm. You stay in your shelters until it passes. But last known location was right around 12 and 342. Then it'll come up on the interchange of 20 and 45. So could be this little spot right here. There's a little bit of noise here in the data. Sometimes it's legit, sometimes it isn't. But that's the only feature that's even remotely identifiable for that. Again, that's 45 Highway 40, I-45, Simpson Stewart Road, and this is south of the Loop 12, coming up north of Hutchins. That would be what's left of that track if it's still tornadic and if it's still visual. Moving to the southeast at 53, radar indicated potential tornado. And the arrival of time on this again is Hutchins here right now, as a matter of fact, northwest side. Then you got Wilmer, Seagoville, 653, and Combine 656, and Rosser at 705, Cottonwood 708, Oak Grove at 710. So be in your shelters for this particular tornadic thunderstorm here in southeastern Dallas County. No other tornado warning storms to speak of. That's the only one in North Texas. You gotta go way down here into Central Texas if you wanted to find another tornado warning storm. This is down near the Waco area. Let's see what's shaking down here just briefly. We'll go back to Dallas. It passes west of Killeen. It's on the kind of a little comma heads snake presentation with it. Is there any decent data? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, there is this little guy here. Tornado vortex signature is a QLCS type situation for a tornado. This will be a little bitty small one, like an EF0, if it's actually on the ground. And luckily, it looks like it's kind of in an open area. Moody is the only town that shows up that's in its direct path, and that's almost an hour away. Let's see, movement. Let's do this one here. East at 45. So be in your shelters if you're underneath this little tornado warning storm down here in Central Texas. All right, let's get out of here. So quite a few storms. We talked about that in the forecast down I-35 all the way down to San Antonio. So here's San Antonio right here. So it's just northwest of San Antonio. They'll be going through Austin for sure. I'm not sure if they'll hang on down here in the south. They may not backbuild that far, but they'll make it to Austin. And then, of course, Waco and Central Texas. And then, of course, we have down here in North Texas. Let's see here. These numbers, by the way, on this map are dew point values. They're into the 60s. So there's plenty of humidity or moisture down here, if you will, for tornadic storms. Let's switch radar sources again. Let's see what we can see. All right, so the little colored splotch we're looking at here over Hutchins right now. So again, stay in your shelters if you live in that area. All right, so this is over the I-20 and
All clear.
I-45 interchange.
There are no storms presently in your area of interest.
That would be the leftover circulation center. Let's try this radar view. Same thing, same idea. All right, so they've updated the warning track. And so what's happened here since we started this, where's Cedar Hill, Cockrell Hill. So the storm has actually done one of these things versus one of these things. If you remember right, I was like, I don't think it's going to go southeast. It's probably going to go east, southeast. So that's kind of been the track that has been so far. It missed downtown Dallas, but it's been kind of the northern end of the southern half of Dallas. So they just updated the track with that in mind. What they're going for now at this point, probably in some type of visual cue, is a jump. So it means maybe the old circulation died. We've got a new one now. Look at that here in a second. So this is on Murdoch Road that splits from Loop 12, comes south, and Riverwood Road. That's where this particular tornado is located, or at least radar indicated circulation. I can't guarantee you it's a tornado, but I can tell you at least on radar, it's about the only spot to look at for that area. We do have some little circulation center also in the southeast of Hutchins. I believe this was the old one There's not a lot to it. There's really not a lot to either one of them, but that is what we're looking at. That's the area. Let me update this. Yeah, I really can't find anything in that low-level data. Yeah. So just because it doesn't seem show up very well in radar, doesn't mean it's not there. These things usually are pretty hard to track sometimes, depending on how strong they are. This radar had a little bit better view of that area of circulation, so that's where the Weather Service put it. This little spot here, we've got the yellow line, and that's that area I've already pointed out. But that looks just about as good of area as any. It's got a little inflow notch right here, so I would go with that. All right, let's see. Let's go back over here to our maps. That was Dallas that showed that, right? I believe so. So we're going to move over and switch radar views. Go back to Dallas. It seemed to have the best look. All right, here it is. Yeah, it's a better look here. Okay, so Highway 75 split from Loop 12. It's south of that area toward Murdoch Road. And last known area was in this little open, uninhabited zone. So there's, I forget what's over out here. I have to let me go over here and flip that off. Looks like it's strengthened in intensity though. Yeah, it's over like a little river bottom with all these trees. So it just missed some of these neighboring houses. I did get this clip of this one right here. But if it's going to produce a tornado, I'd rather do it right here over the open area here with the river bottom than I would over the actual home. So it's right here in this area. And that's a pretty good indication right there. That's probably the best one I've seen so far in the data. Yeah, so that's that'd be where our tornado would be. So remain in your shelters if you live here southwest of Balch Springs, northeast of Hutchins. This will be passing through I-20. I'm going to tell you some of the streets here and the path of this one. So I-20, you got South Prairie Creek Road, or I-20 175 intersection in that area. Haymarket Road, when you got Tea Garden Road, Dowdy Ferry Road. Let's see, Fireside Drive. All of you guys, if you live along those roads in this area, the tornadic thunderstorm is heading in your direction. Let's see. We're measuring this at about 228 feet off the ground, so that's a good elevation to see. Let's see here. Right. A reminder, tornado warning goes until 7 o'clock, so 10 more minutes here for southeastern Dallas County. All right, so here's the intersection change, and this is the update of this track. So we still got Seagoville at 6:59, 7:03 for Combine, and Crandall at 7:05.
TVS cell detected.
And it's this little spot right here at the intersection of 175 and 20 is where the current tornadic circulation is located. So down the road from this is going to run right down 75 corridor. It may be on the southern side of it. So like Kleberg Road, what was it? South Beltline Road. What do we got? Hanlon Road. What else we got in here? Glen Road, Southwest Simmons Road. What else? Bowers Road. So if you live on this intersection from I-20 and 175 down along 175 to Seagoville, be in your shelters for this particular tornadic thunderstorm. And soon it'll be out of Dallas County. Of course, with all around this. See all this pink area? These are all winds up around 70 miles per hour in the area that we're concerned with. Outbound wind here is up around 85 miles per hour. Inbound winds at 67 on this deal. Let me see. That's not quite gate to gate though, but that is suspicious. Let me see what I got here for you. What time is this? 52. Okay. All right. Let me see if the 88D has picked up anything like debris wise from this area. Boy, it just does not see anything. Boy, it's like a needle in a haystack. All right, so on the radar side of things, the best way to describe this is, so this is looking at the NextRad from Weather Service in Fort Worth. I've been tracking all these things with the terminal Doppler weather radar instead because this NextRad radar, if I look at the velocity data, you can't see it. There's nothing there at all. I mean, there's no. It wouldn't even know there was a tornado in here. You just can't see anything. So because the beam width is too big, I'm explaining to you what that means here in a second. So intersection is now crossed over the Beltline Road, just south of the C.F. Horton Holland Freeway. Okay, so best way to describe this is probably, yeah, we'll do it like this. Wish I had something a little better, but this will have to do. It's the only thing I got, I think, to give this a visual. All right, so what we're talking about for the tornado down there, you have two different radar systems. These pins represent the beam that shoots out of the radar, all right, of the antenna. You have this guy and you have this guy. All right, so this is the 88D Weather Service. This is the terminal Doppler weather radar. What's the difference? Well, look how thick and wide this beam is. Look how thin and small this beam is. It's about half the size of this one. So why is this important? Well, a tornado is a teeny tiny pin dot on this pin kind of a deal almost. So what happens is if you have that dot in the middle of this beam, it's so small that the beam doesn't even know that it's there. Whereas if that dot is the size of the tip of this pin, then this pin is sampling that entire dot very well. Whereas this one has a bunch of dots in here and it doesn't know one dot from the other. So what happens is sometimes the 88D will miss these really tiny tornadoes because they can't see it. The resolution is not fine enough. This is a super fine resolution, so this is sampling exactly that spot only and not all the other air around it. So that's a very oversimplistic way to try to tell you why one radar system sees it and one radar system doesn't. Anyway, so there's my educational display for the day. All right, let's go back out here and see where it is. So residual circulation is still kind of following that track. Let me go to this map and show you. So here's the TVS I talked about, triggered still. Let's see here. All right, so same roads I kind of mentioned before, running down 175. You guys got to be in your shelters if you live in this area, South Beltline Road and intersection, about a mile south of 175. Someone did see a funnel. Let's see. I can see a funnel in the bluffs in Copper's Cove, but I can't tell if it's on the ground. All right, so anyway, that's what's happening down there. The city of Rockwall is sounding their sirens. Why are you guys sounding your sirens? Let's see what's going on. Yeah, Rockwall sounding the sirens. Okay. There's no tornado warning for you guys in Rockwall, just so you know. You do have a strong thunderstorm, though, moving in. Okay, so let's see. Am I still on Dallas? I am. All right, so this is, again, is the intersection where the TVS or tornado vortex signature is, which is on 175, and I believe we said Beltline Road, South Beltline Road coming up. So it's almost that intersection. So just make sure you stay in your shelters down here. Let me flip over to another view. And let's see, checking you guys in Rockwall. Sirens are going off. So there's a little notch right here that comes out, and somebody may have saw that, and it was probably low, like a lowering, and maybe have thought, oh no, it's probably a tornado or something. That's just my guess, and therefore the sirens are sounded. But every emergency management has their own reasons as to why they sound the sirens. So all I can tell you is there's nothing officially on the radar that would indicate a tornado at this point, but that might be what triggered that action. Can't tell you. All right, the actual residual circulation from before coming into Seagoville, latest data, man, it's pretty much gone. I can't see anything left. Can't see anything left in the data unless it's obscured, which I don't think it is. Still got plenty of wind though in this spot. It's still up around 70 plus miles per hour coming out on I-20. So here's some, let's go back here to Dallas. Here is some reports. So we got 76 mile per hour winds near Highland Park, the Dallas Love Airport. And then down here in Duncanville, there's a wind gust of 63. So there's a few wind reports there in Dallas. Still got these little hot spots where we have winds up around 80 miles per hour. So that little area we were tracking here this whole time, there's still some residual up here around 80 to 85. I think we're probably, I was going to say, we're probably over 1,000 feet at this point. So we're about 1,800 feet off the ground, which means surface-wise, you're going to have to subtract at a minimum of at least 10 miles per hour from this. So might be more like 15 or so. But so I could say 70 plus in this area. And this is going on the county line, Dallas County line. So that's the residual leftover area of the tornadic circulation that started all the way around I-20. So that thing kind of went a little something like that. It kind of did a little jog. I think it was more like this and then like that. But point is, that was the little thing that went through Dallas County. Okay. Let me see. Do I have anything else? All clear out here. All clear up here. Pretty good storm that's moved out of Oklahoma into Arkansas. Let's go take a look at that one. Well, at the upper levels it was. Let's see. There's lower level. Yeah. It does have a little bit of a wraparound circulation embedded within this mess. Let's take a look here. There is no debris signature on radar, meaning there's no tornado with this. But there is a little bit of a weak circulation between Zafra and Cove, west of Hatfield. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But that's what's happening in that area of the state in northeastern McCurtain County, coming into Polk County. All right, so let's go back down. Let's see. Shreveport was good. That was Oklahoma/Arkansas. Let's see. I guess we'll go back to Dallas. So this is the squall line rolling through northeast, southwest. Kaufman County is going to get what's left of this circulation center coming out of Dallas here in a minute. Fannin has a nice little storm up here. Let's see, anything on the radar? And a little weak circulation on 121 south of Bonham, north of Randolph. It's not much to write home about now, but worth watching as it goes in this little area. Okay, so we're going to do... Well, I got a minute here. Let's look at some high-resolution, short-term forecast data, and we're going to find out what AI thinks. So are we at the next day? Nope, 2300. Okay. All right, so this is the Warn-On forecast model, which takes into account current observations and for the radar data and modeling, and tries to predict whether or not you're going to get a tornado and what the best area is. So if we look at this probability of a tornado through, let's see, here's 730. So it incidentally favored Dallas County to the north and the southeast Oklahoma there through 8 o'clock, and then it really all kind of fades. There's still some hot spots down there south of Metroplex, western Arkansas, but as far as the number values, which is a 30-minute probability of a tornado is what this is called. So the probabilities on the scale go from basically 0 up to 50, so a 0.5. So this value here, if you're at the 0.30, that's kind of in the middle of the scale. It's not the top end, but it's also not the bottom end. So in other words, it's kind of like saying a 50-50 chance at seeing a tornadic thunderstorm in this area, and it favors I-30 going out of Dallas through northeastern Texas and into southeast Oklahoma, and that little spot there in western Arkansas. So we'll see if this algorithm is right. Did it get what happened through Dallas area? No, because look, it had 30s here. There was no tornado, but there was some damaging wind, right? And it did finally cover the Dallas County one there. So it's interesting. I'll leave it at that. Let's see. There is also a severe wind product as well, so we can see if it at least got that part. And it did, 100% probability of severe winds. It had a little tough time, a little bit right here through Tarrant County. It corrected itself 100% through Dallas Tarrant County for strong damaging winds, and then it continues 100% for the next couple of hours, looks like, even into southeast Oklahoma. And then it kind of starts to wind down, looks like a little bit by 9 o'clock. So according to this, we're going to have still potential for a tornado and for some straight line winds over, let's see, the next couple of hours. If you look at hail, same idea here. Biggest hail probability looks like to be in southeast Oklahoma, and maybe in parts of central Texas over the next couple of hours. So there's a look at that deal. Let me see if anything else on here I want to look at. hail, wind, and tornadoes. That was pretty much the main deal. I'll look at the composite reflectivity. And then we'll go back to radar. Let's see, where am I? What do I want? All right, so composite reflectivity forecast kind of has an interesting little bow going through Fannin County and up here along the Red River for enhancement in straight line winds. And it's got this little comma head shape right here, which is an enhancement for a potential tornado in here. It still has that little cluster, hot cluster down here, northeast of Waco, north of Bryan College Station. So that's what we got to work with. And it still has kind of this little look of an elevated, or a warm sector to a warm front up here toward sort of western part of Arkansas. So favorite areas now then, according to this, is going to be from basically just east of Rockwall, kind of in this zone for a tornado. Might get a mixture of hail, wind, and maybe potential tornado in here. And then you're going to have kind of the mixture of potential tornado and hail in this area as well. So those are kind of your three hot spots over the next 2 hours that this short-term model is going to favor. All right, well, let's go see reality, see what's happening. Okay, so as far as warnings are concerned, there are no tornado warnings at this moment. We'll take a look at the one here in Arkansas. Did that little circulation center die out? It just about did. There it is right there. And so it's gone, so we can let that one go. All right, so we'll go back down to around the Dallas area. Take a big picture first. That way I can look at this one here around Bonham. This is east of Sherman. So there is a little weak circulation, but nothing that screams imminent tornado. We are at 8,000 feet elevation though, so we're a little high. But I think the Weather Service may issue a tornado warning on this anyway, just because it's getting out of the radar range and it's getting to this area where they're never going to know anyway until a storm spotter confirms it. So there you go. There's a red polygon indicating a tornado warning just came out. So let's go take a look at that. Unfortunately, it's out of the grasp of the terminal weather radar. In other words, it's too far in distance. While the terminal weather radars can see better as far as higher detailed, more resolution, they don't go out as far. So there's a trade-off within that. And so it looks like it's just beyond the reach of the velocity data. That's too bad. All right, that means we're stuck with the next rad. But here's the deal. Movement on this storm. And let me switch over to the next rad so we can see it better. Down here. All right. So this is a tornado warned storm. So it's going to go to about 8 o'clock. This storm is moving east at 49. Radar indicated rotation within that. As we looked at a minute ago, it was broad, weak, mid-level stuff. But the communities here, we've got Bonham, and we've got Dodge City, all already. Windham, Honeygrove, then we've got, let's see, Roxton and Toco. Come up at 746. So that is where this particular storm is going to go. As far as the rotation center of this, like we talked about near Dodge City. Let me see if I can get any data. So what circulation that there is about 10,000 feet. So we're at the very top of the column where you even begin to try to sample a tornado at all. I like 5,000 feet, so I'm pretty sure we're not going to get anything at 10,000. But anyway, what's the mid-level circulation within that in the thunderstorm is in this broad area here, right along the highway, East Road, Highway 56. So this is green coming toward the radar and red going the way, but it's super broad, super weak. So it's probably not producing a tornado, but that is where the area of interest is. So let's go back here. All right. Okay. There's still a little something going on down here in this area near Bell County. Coming in southwest of Waco. Let's just go see what that looks like on radar. Okay, this is around north of Killeen. Alrighty, same deal, just a little QLCS, weak tornado potential. There's no damage on radar, there's no debris signature, so it's just a circulation on the radar, but it looks like it hasn't touched down. But the location of that is out here in the boonies. Let's see. Well, man, you can't even get a road out here. I was going to give you some roads, but the Grove is where it's coming toward. And that's it for that one. All right, so that could produce a tornado, though. Just because it's not right now doesn't mean it won't. Stay in your shelters, though, if you happen to be in this area, happen to live there. That's where you're going to seek shelter. All right. I think that's about it. I'm going to probably just hang with this one here in northeast Texas for a couple more minutes. And then if something doesn't improve in its structure, I'll probably sign off. It's no debris signature, very weak velocity data in the area. All right. Let's see what this one's doing up here. So, boy. Tell you what, for a radar meteorologist, this whole area is just horrendous. It is just so hard to get decent data. Basically, this area, you ready? Basically like this. If it's anywhere in here, it's just bad news. Matter of fact, I'll do it better than that. I'm not able to do that. Let's go take a look. We got some time here for a second. We'll do it based off the radar measurement. So 10,000 feet. Because 5,000 is right around here. So, I mean, I hate to even go 10,000. I'll use 10,000 just because That seems to be a happy place. So if you look at the 10,000 and you follow it out, it kind of goes like this. All right. All right, so let's see what that looks like. That's basically like this. Where was I? 10,000? So we'll do our little circle. It's basically kind of like this from the radar. All right. Now, if I go Shreveport, oh, it moved. That's right, I can't do that. Oh, shoot. I was going to draw something there for you. Anyway, I was going to draw you was like the area like this, and this guy's going to go like this, and this guy up here is going to go like this, this guy here is going to go like this, and so what you get left with is this big donut hole of lack of good radar coverage. That's the whole point. Meaning that in this zone in southeast Oklahoma, northeastern Texas, you get a lot of overwarning of storms, a lot of false alarms. So the FAR rate is too high. FAR stands for false alarm rate. So the FAR numbers, statistical numbers, are too high because you just don't know what's going on down at the surface because the beam's too high. So we can go back to, since this one's really not doing much on the tornado side of things, we can go back into the Dallas area just to see for wind what's happening in this area. Let's see here. So for Terrell, Hunt County, these little areas around Terrell is up around 50 to 60. There's 65 there between Talty. Let's see. That was Dow.
TVS cell detected.
All right, so this line, you're still going to have some pockets of straight line wind as these storms go through. Let's see here. That's not going to change. Let's go with this one. Yeah, I just don't see anything else of any significance. Still pockets of wind of 60 to 70 for this whole line as it moves through. The tornado aspect of it has not materialized, however. Other than that one that we tracked for a while. Let me think. I'm going to take one last look at this one. And yeah, it's just... Alright, so that's it for right now. So at that particular time then, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'll kind of watch this stuff off and on behind the curtain. And if anything jumps out at me that it looks like a significant tornado is going to do some damage, I'll jump back on for that. But for the next hour and a half, the favorite area is far southeast Oklahoma again, far northeast Texas, far western, southwestern Arkansas for potential tornado and some more, at least some hail mixed in. And there's still some wind and pockets elsewhere for that area all the way down south through the rest of East Texas. Once you get east of Dallas, let me see here. Oh boy. So we'll see if something else forms like south of Dallas as well, like toward Corsicana. That was another favorite area in that model data that might have something tornadic develop. I'm just looking at some data right quick as I'm about to sign off, because usually that's what happens. I'll start to sign off and something will form. So I'm taking one last look. That's the way it goes. Let's see here. So hold on a second. If I see some, I'll tell you. Let's see here. No. Nothing yet. All right. So, yeah, this will be it for me for right now. But thanks for again, though, if you guys were tuning in and you told your friends and relatives to check out the stream. Make sure you get my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It's free, Apple, Google Play. Just do a search for the word ATS Weather. And sometimes you type in the whole thing. It's one word, so it's not like a space. It's all one. Sometimes they're goofy on the search results, so you should be able to find it. AT's Weather to Go is the official name. And that's it for me. So let's see. Let me check just a couple things, and then I'll probably be signing off here in just a second. All right. Oh, that looks good. How's Paul's Valley looking for tonight? Paul's Valley is looking pretty good. Yeah, you guys in Southeast Oklahoma, just keep my app handy, and it'll warn you if there's going to be a tornado warning, of course, or a rotating storm. So, just checking out some of the comments here real quick. So nothing over Van Zant here for right now, but eastern Oklahoma, for the Tyler area, eastern Texas rather, you will be getting some thunderstorms moving in. So that is something that you will notice. Okay, that's going to be it for now. If I do see another tornado situation come up, I will definitely let you know about it. All right, guys, be safe out there. We'll talk again soon. Take care.